Here.
Hi, homeschooling families. This is Janet here at Covenant Homeschool Resource Center, and we are doing our curriculum highlights.
Yay.
And today I am with Diane Welch. Hello, Diane.
Hi.
Hey, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, Janet, it's a pleasure, and you have made it all easy to do, and I appreciate that.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I have Chris here behind the scenes working all the technology because I'm very truly technologically challenged. So Diane works with Common Sense Press, which is a curriculum that has been around since the 90s, correct?
Yeah, it's about 30 years old. Yes, early 90s.
Yeah, and when I was preparing for our interview here, I actually learned that you started homeschooling in 1982 when I was 13 years old.
Yes, and technically, I was telling you that it was illegal back then, and we had few choices as far as curriculum went, and totally different world now, and we're very thankful for that.
Yeah. So when I was starting to, when we came up with the idea of a curriculum highlight for a Common Sense Press, I was thinking, I'm just going to talk whoever's running the company right now. I had no clue I was going to talk to an author and a homeschool pioneer. I mean, it's almost like a historic moment here.
Oh, no. I feel very historic.
Yes, but yeah. So is that kind of what you ended up deciding to write this curriculum, learning language arts through literature, because there was really not much available for homeschooling families back then?
Yes, what was available, good curriculum still out there now, but it had been designed for classroom use.
Yes.
And that's very different. It can work in the home, but I found that I was spending hours with my children filling out workbooks, and the catalyst was teaching a lesson on punctuation to my second oldest daughter, who filled out everything correctly in the workbook. But when I gave her an assignment of real writing, it didn't translate. And I felt so disappointed and so inadequate. And then I picked up Dr. Ruth Beechick's book, You Can Teach Your Child Successfully, and found out that there was another way to teach, and used her sample lessons, then began to write my own. And those turned into the first book we published, which was the TAN book. And then everything grew from there.
So I actually, as part of curriculum highlights, all the different vendors are sending us freebies for our family. So first of all, I want to thank you not only for being with us, but for sending us some really nice freebies. So I'll go through the freebies, and then we can start talking about learning language arts through literature. So the first freebies we have is called 100 Sheep, and it's different songs that are going to help kids learn skip counting. That's actually really neat. So if you're interested in that, give us a call, or just come in and tell us, I want this really neat CD. Is it a CD or is it a DVD?
It's a CD.
It's a CD. Okay, that sounds great.
A lot of people use it at night when you put your kids to bed, pop it in because it's gentle. It's not more modern music, but it's pleasant, and go to sleep listening to it, and they soak it in.
Okay. I think my youngest daughter would have loved this. She always wanted to listen to something before she went to sleep.
Yeah.
So the next freebie that we have, I actually was looking at it, and I have seen it here before, but I guess we have so many books that I didn't take the time to look into it. This is really neat. So tell us about this little grocery cart map.
This is one of our oldest publications, been around, people love it. It's not a math curriculum. It's everyday practical math. When you go to the grocery store, you just take a lesson with you. There are activities for the kids to do while they're in the store, comparison shopping, whatever, and then some at home. Doesn't take a lot of time, but it just reinforces math skills.
Yeah, and I was looking at it, and I mean, with all this COVID stuff, maybe parents are not taking their kids to the grocery store as much, but this is actually a really, really neat supplement, I guess it could be called, and for measuring, so you can actually do this at home. I think this is...
A lot of it can be done at home, yeah.
Yeah, when you bring the groceries, you can tell the kids, okay, which one are the gallon containers, a pint, I guess, and different sizes, shapes. I thought this was a really neat. I'm really glad you sent us this. So hey, if you anybody that wants this, just come in and ask me. We want the grocery cart math. It's a really neat one. And then the next freebie that you sent us, I actually did not know there was a third edition on this one, the Wordsmith. This one is from high school, right? Oh no, 6th grade to 9th grade.
Yes, there are 3 books in the series. They are all written by Janie Chaney, who is a columnist for World Magazine. She's a published author, really has a talent for teaching writing. This program, they take about a year to go through. It's all laid out, and it's keeping with our philosophy. As much as the students can direct themselves, we think that's the best thing for them to take responsibility and to work on their own with oversight. And all of these books are set up that way. They're fun to use. I use them with my kids along with learning language arts. It's a wonderful a different way to come at teaching writing.
Yes.
And I think with writing, you've got to come through a lot of doors, and you want to hit the ones that the kids really like. That makes them want to write. So these are wonderful for that.
Yeah. And then the next thing.
Someone's asking a question.
The grocery store cart math. We have Jessica that wants to know what age group the grocery store cart is. So this one, do you remember what age group it is for?
It's for elementary school, first through 6. And older kids can use it too, but that's what I think is the target age.
Yeah, and I think it can be totally a game. I love this. I was actually kind of bummed out that I didn't pay attention to it before, because I have seen it before. So yeah. So you anybody that's watching, you have any questions, make sure you comment them. I'll be taking a peek, and if I miss you, Chris will tell me. It's like, Janet, you need to comment. And we were actually talking about this one. This is another freebie that you sent us, and it actually sounded really good. It's called Paragraph Writing, and it's for kids from 4th grade to 6th grade. And when you were telling me about this, I actually thought earlier, before the whole state shutdown, I think it was in early April or whatever, we had a new homeschooling mom that had decided to pull her daughter out of school. And she was so disappointed because she discovered during these Zoom classes and whatever else they had started, she discovered that her daughter was not able to write a paragraph, which she was clueless before she did that. Jessica, I see your notes. I will let you have the math. It is yours. Okay, but this mom was telling me she just wanted something specific that would help her daughter learn to write paragraphs. She was just so disappointed that she had discovered that, and she had missed it before. So we're gonna have a lot of parents that are discovering gaps in their kids, and this is very nice that it can address a specific issue. So tell me a little bit about this freebie that you gave us.
This is one of our newest publications. The author sent it to me, and I get a lot of things, but this one captured me because I thought this is how I would teach my children if I were starting fresh years ago, like I did years ago. It's again, student directed and hands-on, lots of different activities to focus on the different types of paragraphs. The student will learn the 5 basic paragraphs, like comparative and persuasive and comparison. I said that. But those are the building blocks for every essay that they will write through college. So if you can get it down in paragraph form, it'll be a lot easier to expand it to the 5-paragraph essay, the 5-page essay. And it just teaches them to organize their thinking and clearly present it. Lots of tips on introducing and concluding and activities to do. So I think it'll be fun. And again, a good supplement, even if you're doing a language arts curriculum like ours, any curriculum, even if your child's in public school, I think this would be a good thing for parents to go through with them. So I
agree.
It's good. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, and it looks very, very user-friendly and not overwhelming, which I think is really important, especially for somebody that is discovering gaps in their kids' exciting. So again, this is another freebie that we're getting. Thank you. And so if anybody wants this, come and pick it up. And then I missed the Wordsmith came with a teacher guide.
Yes.
And then the next review that we have is a science set. But I told Diane, let's just wait on the science one for a little bit because that way we can do all the language arts. So there's another freebie coming up in a little bit.
Yes.
But so you started homeschooling your own kids in 1982, and then through the process of homeschooling, you met Ruth Beecher, and she wrote the book. What is the book that you said? I never read it, actually.
You can teach your child successfully. And that successfully really grabbed me after I had that shock that work was not translating into real world. It was just workbooks. We don't live with workbooks. That's not how we operate. So that wasn't a skill I wanted them to conquer. And so,
absolutely. Yeah. So I was looking at your book, and if people are not familiar with Ruth Beecher, look her up. This is another one of her books.
Yes,
she was so well known when I started homeschooling. And then she also wrote a bunch of little books about reading, a strong start in language, and then
everything. Yes.
Arithmetic. Yeah. So there's a lot of really neat things. She was a very, very well-known person and very, very well loved from what I can gather.
And I would say that a lot of people will know the name Charlotte Mason. Very Charlotte Mason friendly. Has that same perspective of real world learning how to live in the real world. And that's what we based everything that we publish has that lean to Charlotte Mason as well.
Yeah, so I like it. When I was doing a little bit of research on these books, I liked that you guys wrote that all your curriculum has to pass through 2 tests. Number one is, how busy we homeschool moms are. So it needs to, it needs to be complete and require minimal planning. I love it. Especially this day and age, we homeschool moms love that. Right. And then second, you guys believe that education is more than just getting the right answers on multiple choice tests. Learning should be meaningful, comprehensive, and stimulating to the child. Yes. So I think you guys have achieved this on these books that you have.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah. So you recently came up with a 3rd edition because the ones that we used to have here were the 2nd edition. And so let's talk about this general idea. So in this learning language charts through literature curriculum, you guys combine a lot of subjects into one book.
Yes. Yeah. It's an integrated approach that tries to cover spelling, writing, vocabulary, phonics, reading, just everything, all the language arts skills, so that you are working out of one book and based on classic literature. We want to introduce everybody to as much good literature as we can. So.
Yes, and I love that. And the other thing that I really like is from the 3rd to 8th grade, the literature that you chose is all obviously age appropriate. Yes. And then Banana Fed, it is like a novel that would take like 100 days to read. They're all very doable, very reasonable size books. They're really nice.
Good. And interesting. We want it to be fun.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm looking at this one. Like the books that the kids are going to read for this one are the Boxcar Kids. This is the orange book. And you guys you label things in 2 ways. You call it by a color coded. And then in general, the orange book is 4th grade skills. But there's a specific reason why you guys chose to color code them too, right?
Yes, it is.
Tell us about that.
Well, when I was first homeschooling, part of the movement was to stay away from grades, because we knew that children they could be in 3rd grade in one subject, 5th grade in another, and it just kind of boxed them in. And when we wrote the first book, the TAN book, it actually was kind of 5th through 7th skills. I thought that would be the only book I ever did, and I didn't want to put a grade on it, so I just said, let's go by a color. It's the TAN book. And then when people said, well, what do we do next year? Well, I had to come up with another, and we just chose to stay with the color on the front, especially if kids are in a family sitting around the table and brother looks over and says, oh, you're in the 3rd grade book, but it's supposed to be in, cuts out a lot of that stigma. And there is flexibility still. I think I recommend that people stay with it just so that they're covering and building a firm foundation. But you do have some flexibility to go up or down and know that you're okay still. It's all based on you and your evaluation of your student.
Absolutely. I really, really love that. And just like you said, I like how in the back you kind of put it a little smaller, you know, fourth grade skills, and even the parents could put a sticker and cover that if needed. But I really like that because, you know, we don't need to label our children.
No,
this is what they need to learn. I had my youngest child was a late reader.
Yes.
And she is she is doing great. She loves to read. You know, my oldest one, she was already making up words, figuring out words. She was 4 years old. But my youngest one, she was, I think, in fourth grade when she actually started reading more at the grade level. And that's totally fine. That's just how her brain was working. That's how she was processing stuff. And I would have not liked it if she would have felt that there was something wrong with her.
Right. That's exactly why we do it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah. I love this concept. I think it is very, very neat. Okay, the other thing that I like, you know, you guys are combining all of this. This one has grammar, vocabulary, spelling, writing mechanics, reading. It's kind of the screens are opposite than what they really are. Just so you people are knowing, why am I going in weird directions? Because it's hard to figure it out. Reading, poetry, research, and creative writing. This is really neat because you're combining all of those things in one book instead of having a book for poetry, a book for spelling, a separate book for grammar, another one for literature. All of that is combined, and the selection of readers was really nice. So I started going to that, and then I got distracted. So it was the Boxcar Kids is one of the readers, Wilbur and Orville Wright, Ben and Me, and The Sign of the Beaver. All of those are like really wonderful books.
Yes,
and they're not overwhelming. It's very extremely doable to be able to read those books within one school year. Yeah.
The Orange Book is a little bit different than the others in that the dictation lessons are mostly from those books. And the other books the other levels, there are the dictation lessons are built on passages from a lot of different books.
Yeah.
The student does not have to read the whole book, but of course we hope that the passage acts as a hook where they'll want to read it on their own.
Absolutely.
But they have their 4 book studies, as in with this one, they read the whole book. I don't know if that was clear.
But it totally makes sense. Yeah, like I forgot which one. One of them has Black Beauty as part of the dictation, but kids don't have to read the entire book to be able to answer other sections, other questions. So the other thing that I really like is some of the activities. You guys have sequencing. You know, that events of the lessons, or story diagramming. This is actually really neat. So this is very hands-on. And then after each section, you guys have a little congratulation, a little assessment thing. Make the kids feel good about that book. I think it's an extremely neat book. Okay, so this one is a teacher book. And it comes with a student book, and your books. Just from my perspective, I'll let him know the books are black and white. They're not overwhelming to the eye. You can look at the lessons, and it doesn't feel. The kid is not going to look at it and going to go like, oh, how am I supposed to do this today? No, it looks doable. The kids are the instructions are clear. The spelling tips are really nice. Actually, I was looking. I don't know if you've heard about spelling power.
Yes.
So I was looking at the rules that you came up, and it sounds to me that the philosophy might be slightly. I mean, it's different, of course. Yes. But it looked like the way that you guys explain the rules is very nicely concise and clear, similar to what they do. And it's obviously a different style because you're not following all their guidelines. But
our spelling program throughout is really based, again, on a suggestion by Ruth Beechick. Yeah. And you can teach by lists and rules. I mean, the rules go in both ways, but you can teach by list, or you can teach through the student's perspective. Let's say they're writing something and they misspell a word. That's the word you want them studying because they want to use that word. They like that word, but for some reason they have misspelled it. So you create individualized spelling list, and that runs throughout the program. We teach phonics rules, a spelling rule, and we look at a few of those words, but the student doesn't have 15 or 20 words to memorize every week and then to forget the next week. So it's a little bit different.
Yes, it is. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Because like right now it says, make a list of 3 to 6 misspelled words or use the following suggestions.
That's actually right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just really neat. Okay, and we have the third edition is the current edition. The second edition, we still have a few here. And you guys did a really nice job. Here, let me pick up my cheat sheet here. In your website, people can print out this. I actually color coded it for my own use. And this compares all the editions and it lets you know which ones are compatible and what kind of changes have been made. So a lot of the changes that you made are mostly to update the use of the technology that we have this day and age.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to apologize to everybody who has been using the second edition, because the way the program is used is you buy a teacher book for the first child and a student book. And then as other children come along, you just have to get the student book, and your teacher book is still current. And we have people who have used the program for 10 or 15 years and are still reusing. And now all of a sudden we throw in this third edition, and I apologize. But like you said, it was time. The program was a little dated because people don't use encyclopedias anymore.
Phone books.
So we had to do it. We will never do it again. It was horrendous. But I do think they are better. It's the same book, but technologically updated. And then we did add some other activities that we wanted to just enrich more, changed out some obscure literature. But you still can get some, usually almost all of the second edition students, we have most of them, a couple work on, but you can get them as ebooks if you want to continue using it. So.
And we also have, obviously, we have all of the third edition ones, but behind me, we also have a few of different of second edition. So we have families that still have the teacher guide, you know, they can come and find them here too, and we've discounted them too, or they can look them from you. Okay, so how important is the teacher guide with this curriculum?
The teacher guide is the most important thing. All of your answers, all the answers are there on the side, right beside the lesson, so you know exactly what's going on. You have extra teaching given to you. The student book looks is a lot like the teacher book. Mm-hmm. There's instructions, there's some things in there, but not everything. Again, to keep it from being so cluttered and overwhelming. Mm-hmm. When we first wrote the books, there was no student book. Kids had to recopy things on their own paper. And the student book then became an idea of making it easier for the student, for the teacher. You didn't have to cover up the answers while they were copying, and they have a little more space to do things. So the student book and it kept all the work together. So most people say it because we've kept the cost as low, a lot lower than a lot of programs, then you feel like, okay, I can do this. $60 for a year for both, not overwhelming because you're covering everything. So I recommend the student book, but if you have to just buy one, everything is in the teacher. So.
And you know what, Stephanie, that's really good that you said that, because before I became more familiar with this curriculum, when I started volunteering and then working here, families would they would see the student book and they liked it. So they would just go home with the student book, not buy the teacher guide, thinking that was going to work out. But then they would come back and they would buy the teacher guide. So I always tell when I see families that want to do that, I was like, you know what? Most people come back and they buy it if they don't buy it now. So it really has a lot of value to it.
I think
so.
so.
So the third, first and second grade come in a box set, which is a little different, right, than third through eighth.
You want to get me one? Yes, the box sets, because we're teaching reading. The blue book is the first book and it starts right out with letter sounds, very basic. And it looks like this. Whoops, you're right, it's backward.
It is, it's hard, isn't it?
It comes with all of the stuff that you see here, which
I have the old edition.
Oh, you have one too. Okay.
Mine is old. Yours is new.
Oh, okay.
Yours is current.
The red book is also a box, and it comes with, I don't know if you can see I can't see it. It comes with 5 readers that are 6 readers that we wrote. Lessons are built upon those. The blue book comes with 12, 10, about 25 readers, that little readers, short vowel, long vowel, that kind of thing. That's and the materials packets for the cutting up. It's very hands-on.
Yeah, people like that a lot.
And I think at that age it works best. And it comes with a teacher and student book in the box as well.
Yeah. And then if somebody already has the teacher book, for the blue book, the second edition and third edition is compatible. For the red book, which is the second grade levels, it is not.
Yes.
And so and then high school, you come up with high school. Now high school treats the kids a little bit more like grown-ups, a little bit older, because they do not have a separate notebook. So tell me a little bit about the high school. You have American and world literature, learning language arts through.
And we have British, and this year we came out with our last one. So we have all 4 years, and this is called literary criticism.
Oh, I don't have that one.
Interesting note on this one.
That
little girl that didn't get the punctuation right back in when I started. Faith, and that little girl, Erin, my daughters, wrote this one.
Oh, congratulations.
So it's kind of full circle. It's very pleasing to us, but both of them were, Erin's an author, written 10 books or so. Faith graduated with degree in writing, and they brought all of that together, all of the learning language arts training, and wrote our last book after 30 years. So that's kind of interesting.
That's so exciting. You know what? For the parents that started their children's education illegally, I guess they turned out pretty good, huh?
I will say the high school books are different. They're college prep. They are textbooks. There's no teacher student. They're, again, mostly student directed. Of course, at this grade level in high school, it is really part of the thing that they will benefit from is discussion, critical thinking, critical analysis. So it helps to have somebody. I've taught many of them in high school co-ops, works very well, and it's been a lot of fun. But the students can work through them on their own. There are lots of things to discuss, and in the back of the book for the teacher, there are answers so that you can sit down and discuss the work without having read all of them, because we're talking 100 books or more that they will cover through all the 4 years. So that keeps you involved. But again, mostly student directed. At this age, they're working pretty much on their own.
Yeah.
And there's no grammar, there's no font. I mean, this is a very different look from through the 8th grade, because they are doing more of the literary criticism throughout to get ready for college. That first Com 1 class, they will walk in and have no problems with it. So
I agree. The choices that you guys have, you have short stories by Henry James, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Mark Twain, and more people. The Red Badge of Courage, which actually I think everybody has to read that once you get to high school. The Omen and Sea 2, The Pearl, poetry, Emerson, Longfellow, Dickinson, more. And it's kind of funny because I never was into poetry. And when my oldest one, when we did poetry, actually as part of I don't know why I wasn't really familiar when I was still homeschooling with this curriculum, so I did not use it. But I mean, again, once working here, I was like, oh my gosh, so many cool things to look at.
I'm sure.
I think that's a really great, very friendly option. But again, poetry, I was very surprised that my daughter loved Emerson so much.
Yeah.
I mean, she had his big set for Christmas. I mean, a book like this. And so you'll be surprised. It's really good, even if you don't think, oh, poetry or some silly short story, whatever. Just let the kids look into it and delve into it and do the critical analysis, thinking, writing, everything, because it is good for them and they discover certain things that they did not know.
Yes, good.
Yeah, I think this is really neat. And it's also really important that it's, homeschool moms are busy, especially the new homeschooling moms that are being forced into homeschooling because of everything that's going on with the educational system right now. This is a really very user-friendly curriculum. Very nice.
Let me add, if I can, last year we came out with a couple aids for high school. One of them is that we offer a writing assessment that you can sign up for. You can find it online described, but the major writing that they do in each book, if your student can send it to us, we will review it. We will give them feedback. We will help them develop their writing as much as we can and work with the student throughout the year. And also we publish now a book, course notes and tests, which is a little booklet that has, this came out of my teaching. You have to, at high school, you start having to measure things. And so when you do, just putting together a test can be overwhelming. So we have tests for every unit, and we have a course notes just give a summary of everything they needed to know in that unit so that you can discuss it with them and review if they need it. So you don't have to have those things. They're optional, but they are there for helps for those who say, yeah, I could use that.
So I'm originally from Peru, and writing is, I like to write. I think it is fun, but it's not my area of strength. So I actually had a lot of learning to do when I started homeschooling my daughter. And I did sign her up for a program that did something similar to what you're suggesting. Sure. And Chris already found that, homeschooling families, here in the notes, Chris already put the assessment service. That is like a really neat thing to have access to. Right. That can be super helpful, especially if the mom is feeling kind of insecure about, hey, is my kid doing everything? And then for my benefit, my husband is very good at the mechanics and the writing. So I will most definitely work on the content with my kids, and my husband will double check it. But if you don't have somebody that can help you with that, your service is like amazing. I will highly recommend something like that.
Well, I hope so. I hope it is helpful to everybody. That's why we came up with it.
I think it's really good. Okay, so we went through all the literature stuff, and let's go back to our next freebie. And if I forget, remind me. You also send us a link that's going to be in their freebie. But you guys also have science curriculum that it is a very hands-on curriculum, and so it comes in a bunch of different themes. And if you guys notice, Kathy Duffy really likes it. Kathy Duffy is a lady that does curriculum review. So tell me a little bit about this, and you have some samples too.
Yes, this is a different approach, and I always at conventions want to warn people, it's very hands-on. Not everybody likes that or teaches that way. So a lot of people do, but a lot don't. I don't want anybody to get it and then be overwhelmed. There are 10 books in the series, and you had the plant one.
I did.
It's very consumable. The one other thing that's real important with this series is, through my homeschooling experience, and my belief is that science and history probably don't. Well, I didn't think that they needed to be formally studied from 1st through 6th grade. they're learning a lot about science just by living in just common sense, history through stories and biographies. Save the dates and save the things that you have to memorize to junior high school or high school. You want to just spark that interest in them. So the books are can be used with all of your kids at one time. That was the other thing that I did. Again, respecting your time as a teacher. It's a lot easier to just put all, second grade, fourth grade, and sixth grade together and teach the same lesson. Go over it together. The books have icons in the book that tell you what activities to use for each of those levels. All doing the same thing, but doing it at their level. The books are consumable. They come with, this is hard.
It is hard, isn't it?
With all of the graphics in the back of the book that you cut up, and you will end up with something that some people call a lap book. You might think of it that way, but it's more of a graphic organizer where they add to it with each of the lessons that they do, and end up with information, and they've recorded it all. It's a great sharing. Grandma comes over, somebody comes over. They want to sit down and show what they've done. And the benefit of that is they're reviewing again.
Absolutely.
And it's keepsake. So you end up with every book with a little bit different graphic organizer that they build throughout the course. It won't take a year to go through a book. There's 22 lessons, and depending on how many days, 24 lessons. Depending on how often you do it during the week, you can get through 2 books a year easily, maybe even 3. So, and then you pick the topic that you want.
Yeah. So Jessica here is letting us know that she brought the Great Science Adventure, the Tools and the Oceans this year. I'm so excited for her. She's going to have so much fun putting it together.
Good.
And I do remember that when my kids were little, I would invite my parents and they would show them things. And then exactly the way you just said, a lot of times for science, this type of curriculum or visiting to the library, something a little more informal, kids learn so much from it. I have our resource center offers IVA testing. And I always love telling this story. The parent called me after testing when the scores arrived, and she was super worried that this were not her child's score. And basically, because they did not formally do science, and they had pulled him out of school, and he was behind and not doing well. And all of a sudden, he gets tested, and he tests really well in science. And so I started asking her questions. It's because we went to the library a lot, and he checked out a lot of library books. So obviously, he did his own style of hands-on stuff. Oh, and Jessica's just letting me know that she got the ebooks, and she's getting them printed.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to show your customer. This is what the Tools graphic organizer looks like. They will be building their little toolbox with all the lessons and the graphics and the things they've learned. So it's fun. All of them are a little different, but what? Oh yes, the graphic stuff that is in the book that you cut up will go with one student. You can just buy that part as an ebook and then copy it for all of the students in your family if you're doing a multi-level.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah. That actually can save a lot of money, especially if you have more kids.
Yes.
That's really
Or you
nice.
have permission to copy it from the book for your family as well. But
yeah. So copyright, you guys are allowed to copy it for your own personal use.
Yes.
So that's great. And then if you're doing it in a co-op, each family needs to buy their own book. And again,
their own materials packet. If the teacher has the book, they just need to go get the e-book materials.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the way to keep saving money. I mean, we're all for that. I mean, I remember when I was homeschooling, and you're feeding your own kids, but then all of a sudden the neighborhood kids know you guys are home. Now you're feeding the entire neighborhood on top of the curriculum and stuff like that. So saving money is super important when you're a family.
Yes.
Well, the other, I read it. I actually forgot what it was called, but you also sent me a link. Was it a literary study?
Well, we have online, we have some free book studies as you can use during the summer. You can use it with any curriculum. We have dozens of them that you can find under resources on our webpage. But we also have ebooks that have a collection of 10 or so, is it 8 to 10 books that are book studies that you read the book and then there are things to do with it. And we are offering a link to a free ebook for one of those. What grade?
Older grade.
For the older grades. It's like 6th through 9th or something.
Oh, that's great.
And
so, and as a part of being part of our curriculum highlight week for that. So today was the Facebook Live that we're doing right now. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're going to be posting curriculum tips for you guys.
Yes.
And one of them is going to be this link that you're sending us with a coupon or a code, so families can get that particular one that you're offering us for free. So thank you for doing that for us.
Sure.
So before we finish our Facebook Live, you are a knowledge of information. You have 12 grandkids. You finished homeschooling all your kids, writing curriculum, and you did it, starting in the 80s when it was, quite challenging. So the moms that are starting right now because of the COVID situation, they're experiencing different challenges, but they're also experiencing a lot of stresses. So is there any suggestions, any tips that you have to help them enjoy this time and also give them confidence that they can actually homeschool their kids well, successfully?
Yes, that's our word. I talk to moms every day, and I find there's a lot of fear. They don't have the confidence. And this is what I always say is, you can do this. Nobody is as motivated to see your child be successful than you are. There are lots of helps. And the other thing I tell them is that it's not a day by, it's not, let's say you have a bad week or a bad month or even a bad year, you're in it for the long term. You will catch up, things will settle down. Don't beat yourself up, and enjoy it. Enjoy your children. I found that those years teaching my kids at home, a lot of quality time, but the quantity and the quality, you can't beat it. So doable. You don't have to be a professional to be able to do this. Find somebody that you can, walk with and encourage each other, and you'll get through. And
Absolutely.
And love it, and you will love it.
I think so too. And everybody, I mean, if your kids were going to school for the rest of their lives, traditional school, you guys would have bad days. So just because you end up having bad days when you're homeschooling doesn't mean that you cannot homeschool successfully also.
That's true. So, very true.
Thank you so much for all your encouraging. Thank you for all the freebies. So homeschool moms, the math book has already been taken, but keep up. Chris is going to be posting on our Facebook page every day a curriculum highlight about Common Sense Press. Feel free to follow us here at Cabinet. I have really enjoyed learning about Common Sense Press. And then this science curriculum, it is different and it is very nice. This can be a very nice option for a lot of families. So it's great to have options, And again, if you're overwhelmed, if I think I'm totally with you. I agree. Language Arts is very nice to have something to follow, Even a young girl like me from Peru, didn't know what a long vowel or short vowel was when I started homeschooling my kids. I was able to homeschool them, and they survived, and I love them more than anybody in the world. So just like that was we moms have a lot of motivation to
we do.
Well, and there's so many choices here. It can be a little overwhelming, but thank you so much for all the information you've given us.
You're welcome. And again, our number is online. Give me a call if anybody wants to talk about it further. I'd be happy to just sit down and chat with you with
that would be wonderful. Thank you so much again, and thank you for being part of our curriculum highlights.
Thank you, and thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, homeschooling families. Thank you for joining us for our Facebook Live.
What?